When Donald Trump told voters this in 2024, the experts knew it was a lie.
When I win, I will immediately bring prices down starting on day one.
Today, the Nobel Prize-winning economist Paul Krugman wrote about how those predictions were completely right. Quote, the so-called experts ridiculed Donald Trump's claims that he would bring grocery prices down on day one and cut energy prices in half. The so-called experts warned that Trump's attack on Iran would lead us into a quagmire and cause a global energy crisis. The so-called experts said that Trump's contempt for international agreements and his threats to friendly nations would undermine the world's trust in America and that we would find ourselves without allies when we needed their help. The so-called experts were completely right, end quote. Bobby Ghosh and Justin Wolfers are back with us. Hey, Justin, I don't know if Bobby's ever tried out that whole rare earth thing that he said to me, but that's why I love having you guys here, because you give me these analogies that really make me think about something, that rare earths are China's version of the Strait of Hormuz. We've all known for all of history, oh, not all of history, but for many years that China controls these minerals. We've also known that Iran can shut the Strait of Hormuz. But neither ever did those things until we tested them.
One more thing to add. The Strait of Hormuz isn't straight and rare earths aren't rare.
There you go.
Amazing.
Just to be clear, the Strait of Hormuz, as you describe it, is not straight. It is
a kink. It's a big kink.
That is correct. Back to you, Bobby. It is interesting, though, because Donald Trump needs to get a bunch of things from China. And we were just talking to Madeleine Dean earlier, and her main concern is that China needs a bunch of things from America, too, but it needs one thing. There's something that's really important is Taiwan. America has this sort of vague agreement that it will protect Taiwan, which is it's in a difficult position to do now because our military is all busy in Iran. But it also it's sort of vague, right? Our support for Taiwan is not as absolute as many people think it is, and China would like it to become opposition to Taiwanese independence.
Well, it's nuanced. It's not as written in stone as some people think, but it's actually firmer than people. There's actually stuff written down that commits the United States to some things. At least it commits the United States to not doing some things. The United States is committed, for instance, to not forcing the Taiwanese to make a deal with the Chinese. The United States, by the way, is committed to not letting China have a say in American arms sales to Taiwan. And the President Trump, ahead of this trip, said he would discuss American arms sales to Taiwan. That is a red line that he's consciously crossing. No American president has done that before. Going back to Ronald Reagan, the United States committed not to do that. So there is a weakening in America's stance on Taiwan that the Chinese are already seeing, and they'd like to see much more of that.
So it'll be tomorrow morning, Justin, before we sort of get a sense, really, of what happened overnight, because it's 10:40 in the morning in Beijing, and in theory, they're all working for a little while. What does success look like to you? What would be success out of this meeting?
Mate, I can tell you what I'm hoping for, which is that the president reads off his cue cards, doesn't do more than that, returns home safely, and the headlines tomorrow morning say, delicious Chinese meal enjoyed by everyone. If this were a more serious administration, there would be a lot more that would be on the table. There would be the possibility of further opening up trade, deeper integration, security issues, and all of that. But, you know, given the history of aggression and aggressive rhetoric, given the president's wayward words, which a small number of people find charming, but I have a funny feeling the Chinese don't, given the history of sort of racist, inflected language used by the administration, I just want him to get back on the plane and have a good sleep.
Yeah, no, I'm kind of with you, because I'm sure there are viewers saying, why are you covering this in such earnest? It's because with this guy, you just never know. You just never know what he's going to say and who he's going to threaten or bully. By the way, we showed you Donald Trump's comments to Xi Jinping. We didn't have the translation of the comments backwards, so now I've got what Xi Jinping said to Donald Trump. He said, this year is the 250th anniversary of American independence. Congratulations to you and to the American people. I always believe that our two countries have more common interests than differences. Success in one is an opportunity for the other, and a stable bilateral relationship is good for the world. China and the United States both stand to gain from cooperation and lose from confrontation. We should be partners, not rivals. We should help each other succeed and prosper together and find the right way for major countries to get along well with each other in the new era. Mr. President, I look forward to our discussions on major issues important to our two countries and the world, and working together with you to set the course for and steer the giant ship of China-U.S. relations so as to make 2026 a historic landmark year that opens up a new chapter in China-U.S. relations. Bobby, that's the equivalent of what Justin thinks success would be, right? Xi Jinping said the things that sound like a bilateral summit should have said.
Exactly right. He didn't say you're the greatest American president. He didn't say I tell everybody what a great guy you are, what a terrific leader you are, what a terrific country you are, what amazing companies you've built with your own hands. None of that. Just he stuck to the script, and that was it. That pretty much what he says with every bilateral that he holds with every leader of every country. So with small variations, there's a standard script that is rolled out these times. So it doesn't sound like he just, you don't want to read too much into what is, after all, a standard speech, but it doesn't sound like he's going to give Donald Trump a great deal more than we were led to expect beforehand.
All right. Well, we'll all know more about this tomorrow. I appreciate your analysis, guys. Thank you. Bobby Ghosh is a geopolitical analyst. Justin Wolfers is a University of Michigan economics professor. Thanks to both of you for joining us.